I'd like to welcome y'all back to another episode of Beyond the Fear podcast, the place where y'all come for motivation, inspiration, uplifting, and the overall positive message. I'm your host, DJ. And today's episode is about a phrase that I've been hearing, at least for the past 2 weeks, a lot, and that's trust the process. And I can't tell you how hard but important trusting the process is. I don't think I can talk about it enough. Because for me, as I'm as y'all know, I'm on my healing journey, my self-realization journey, all of these things, that I'm just going through trying to, figure out about myself, dealing with my trauma, all of these things, childhood traumas and things. But I'm also trying to increase my faith. And so you know, that trust the process goes hand in hand with walking by faith and not by sight. And so it's one of as someone who did not grow up in the church, didn't grow up with the Bible, didn't grow up fully understanding the Bible. And as I'm trying to learn, it's hard because I'm so used to figuring things out on my own or trying to figure out how I can make something work. So when people say trust the process, take your hands off the wheels, it's like it's hard because now you're telling me to not do something that I've done for so long, which is also a part of like my healing, to not just go instantly get upset, go figure out what's going on, go ask questions, or quit trying to do everything by yourself. Go ask for help. When people are reaching out to you to give help, accept it. Leaning on people. These are all things that I had haven't don't have much experience with, so I'm learning how to do. So another thing is trust the process or walk by faith. God got you. It's already done. All you have to do is believe, trust in Him. And so it is a hard thing. It's a hard concept for me because I have, or at the very least, I've thought that I've had to do it by myself. I've had to figure everything out. I've had to try to come up with a plan to get myself out of situations that I may have put myself in, or out of situations that somebody else may have put me in. Who knows? But it's just always been my understanding and my logic and things like that. At least that's how I've always viewed it. And so now, you know, when people say, "Hey, just trust the process. Don't worry about this. Don't stress about this. It's going to come when at on God's timing, when the time is right." And so it's hard because it's like you feel like you're walking into something blind, and maybe you are, but you have to trust that you're going to be okay. You have to trust that things are going to work out. And I think that that's where I'm struggling the most because my default is to worry. My default is to stress. My default is to try to figure out something. And I think that that's where a lot of my stress comes from, because it may not be anything for me to figure out. I may have, so for example, like with a job, I've done my part. I put in the resume, I put in my application. It's not up to me whether they pick me. It's not up to me whether I get picked for the interview. I've done the part that I can control. I can't control if they'll call about an interview. And even if they do, I can't control if I'll make the cut and be one of the people that gets chosen for the job. So I'm starting to get to a point where I'm understanding, hey, control what you can control and don't worry about the rest. Trust the process with the rest. So the things that I can control is I can put my application in. That's something I can control. I can't control anything else. And then if I do get the call for the interview, I can control making sure I'm there on time, making sure I look presentable, make sure I'm prepared, in every possible way for the interview, for the questions, everything like that. Those are the things that I can prepare for. Those are the things that are in my control. Everything else, isn't. And I think that going from somebody who worries about everything, especially when things aren't going right. You know what I'm saying? When things are going right, it's easy for me to go with the flow and trust the process and all that stuff. I think it's easy when things are going right. But when things are not going right, or when I'm in a bad space, or when I feel like, oh man, I got to do something, something has to shake, something has to change. I'm not feeling this job anymore. I'm not, this situation isn't working for me. That's when it's like it's hard for me because now it's like I want to take everything in my hand because I want things to happen instantly. You know what I'm saying? I want it to happen on my timing. And I think, and I know, I ain't even a think, I know that's where I mess up because I'm not happy. I'm not in a good space mentally and emotionally. So now I want to control it. And so now I feel the need to control it. When everything is good, I'm not worried about control. I'm not worrying about I'm not worried about something ain't right or what's the next move or anything like that. When things are good, I'm in a good space. I'm chill. I'm doing my thing, relaxed, all of this stuff. So I can go with the flow. I can trust all the processes and all that stuff when things are good. But when things go bad, when things are not working, or at least when I feel, because maybe things are working just fine, they just aren't working the way I want them to go. So when I'm in a bad space, or when things aren't working the way I want them to go, or you know, when I feel like something isn't working the way it should be. So it's very personal to me. When I feel those ways, when it's coming from my perspective that things aren't right, that's when I don't want to trust the process. That's when trusting the process isn't enough. Even though trusting the process may have gotten me to where I am, it's like when things start to get a little rocky, okay, the process ain't working anymore. And what I have to realize is that the hard times are a part of the process. That those rocky, those storms and those waves are a part of the process. All of that is a part of you, the process. That's a part of walking by faith and trusting that things are going to be okay, because that's a part of trusting the process, is trusting that things are going to be okay. And I think that, myself included, what we get messed up is we think that when we hear things are going to be okay, we hear things are always going to be okay. Things are always going to be good. So when things go bad, oh, this ain't a part of the process. This isn't a part of faith. And in truth, it's the exact opposite. That's probably one of the key parts of faith, and one of the key parts of the process is, can you stay the course through those rocky times? Can you stay on course? Can you stay on track? Can you stay in the vision, in the zone, when things aren't working the way you want them to work? When things aren't going the way you envision them? When things aren't lining up the way you thought that they should line up? Can you stay in it? Can you stay focused? Can you keep your eye on what you need to keep it on, and trust that these hard times and these rocky storms and these big waves and all of this stuff isn't going to last? And everything that you were wishing for, everything that you were praying for, everything that you were hoping for, and all the things that you were envisioning for yourself and for your career and for your future are on the other side of these storms. And yes, there's going to be more than one. Yes, there's going to be storm here, quiet seas, then another storm, quiet seas. Can you stay the course during those? And I didn't always do that, right? And so even now, because I'm going through some stuff, and and even knowing this stuff, right? So logically knowing. So when I'm in a calm state like I am now, I can have the thought of, no, it's gonna get better. And I can believe that. And I do trust that. It's just I have to learn how to remember this mindset when I'm in the middle of being upset. Because when I'm in the middle of being upset, or if I'm in the middle of, something going on that's got me upset, that's got me flustered, that's got me annoyed, it's like I don't be thinking about it. You know what I'm saying? I don't think about that in that moment. I just think about the quickest way to try to change course because like most of us, nobody really very few people enjoy being uncomfortable. Very few people enjoy or find joy or find comfort in being uncomfortable, find comfort in being in difficult situations, find comfort in those storms. And I think that when you can find that, even if the comfort is, I know that this isn't going to last forever. I know that at some point this storm is going to stop and I'm going to, and there's going to be smooth sailing at some point. But you got to find that comfort in that storm to know that this is the course that you want to be on. You have to trust the process. You have to trust God. You got to walk by faith. And so, and it's not an easy thing to do. And I know when you talk to some people who've been in church, who've been through the trials, been through the tribulations, and they know that this is a tried and true process and it works. It'll get you where you want to be. That don't mean that they're lying, right? Because they're probably telling the truth because they've been through it. But I think that sometimes people forget, because they've been in it for so long that they forget how hard it is. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not telling you that it's not worth it. I'm just simply telling you, A, it's hard. It's worth it, but it is hard. And I think that there's, like I said before, that there's this understanding or this misunderstanding that, um, that everything, when you say trust the process, people automatically assume, or like myself, when I hear trust the process, I'm thinking, okay, the process is good. The process is always going to be good. And I had to learn that no, the process is going to be rocky sometimes. That's when you have to trust the process. See, trusting the process ain't really about when times are good. Trusting the process and walking by faith and not by sight is when times are hard. That's when you have to apply it because when things are good, it's easy to stay the course. It's easy to stay on your path. But when things get rocky, when times get hard, when things are unsure, that's when you have to trust the process. That's when you have to remind yourself, hey, trust the process. That's when you have to remind yourself, you know, hey, I got a goal. I know where my goal is, and I know, and I have to remind myself that this path that I'm walking on isn't going to be all sunshine and rainbows 24/7. There are going to be hard times. There are going to be rough patches. There are going to be twists and turns, dips, peaks, everything on this journey. And I don't think that enough. I don't think that we think about those things enough. I think that we think about the goal and how beautiful and how wonderful and how great we're going to feel once we hit that goal. And we don't think enough about the road to that goal and the processes that we have to go through and the distractions and the frustrations and the annoyances, just all of these things that are going to get in the way of us getting to the goal, you know. And like I said, that's where trusting the process, that's where the faith has to come in. The trust and the faith have to come in those moments because it's so easy to do. You probably don't even think about it during the easy times. When it's easy, you don't think about, man, I'm really gonna have to trust this process. I'm really gonna have to. You don't think about it. Well, at least I don't. Let me not speak for anybody else. I don't. I don't think about any of that when it's easy, when I'm comfortable, all of that. I don't worry about it. But when I'm going through it, that's when I need it the most. And I think that that's when I also don't think about it the most. You know what I'm saying? I don't think about how I need to trust the process. I don't think about how I need to have faith. That's probably when I think about it the least, is when I need it the most, you know, and I have to learn how to get into that space where that is what I think about when I'm going through it. I just think, trust the process, have faith, and know that things may not look the way I want them to look. Things may not be going the way I want them to go, but understand that these hard times are not going to last forever. The sun is going to come out again. You know what I'm saying? And no matter how bad the day is, God willing, you're going to wake up and see tomorrow. And you'll wake up and see the next day. and it'll get easier and it'll get better. I don't know how long it's going to take, but it will get better as long as you're staying the course, doing what you need to do, trusting the process. And like I said, even in me saying that to you right now, I still understand how hard that is. And I want to make sure that I add that into it. Like, it's not going to be easy trusting the process through the hard times, through those difficult waters, through those storms, but it'll be worth it to get to where you want to be. That is a part of the process. Like, nobody's process is going to be all sunshine and rainbows all the time. We all have our, like I talked about on the last one, we all have our struggles that we got to go through that are going to be a part of our processes. Whatever your process is, whatever your struggle is, I know it's not easy. I know it's not easy, even if from someone else's perspective, oh, I could have handled it this way, or all you had to do was this. That's cool. That's from their perspective. But from your perspective, I know it's not easy. I know whatever it is that you're dealing with is giving you a hard time. And I know it's got you not wanting to trust the process because, and just like with me, sometimes, why would you want to trust a process that puts you through this? But I'm telling you, it's worth it. I'm not only telling you for yourself, but I'm also saying this for myself. Trust the process. Trust it even more when you're going through what you're going through. Because I think that that's when the trust and the faith needs to be at your strong. When you need to be at your strongest, when you need to have your strongest faith, when you need to have your strongest amount of trust, is when you're going through those hard times. Because sometimes those are the only thing that's going to help you get through it. Is that trust, that knowing, once I get through this, and I don't know when it's going to be. Your storm may be 3 days. Your storm might be 3 months. You know what I'm saying? Your storm might be 3 years. And I know that that's a lot to have to contemplate on. And that's a lot of faith and a lot of trust that you got to have to go through that. But understand that on the other side of that, number one, you're not going through it alone. I firmly believe that God got you. I also firmly believe that if you're putting the right people around you, they got you. And that's not to say that you're not going to struggle, but that's to say you have people around you to help you with that struggle so that you don't have to go through that struggle alone. You still got to go through it for sure. You still got to go through it, but you don't have to do it by yourself. That you have people that you can lean on. You have God that you can lean on and that you can talk to, but just understand that the struggle is a part of the process. And I think that once we, again, myself included, start to understand that, it'll make things a lot easier because I know how frustrating it is to struggle. I know how frustrating it is to be going through things like that and for people to just tell you to trust the process. And, because I think, at least for me, I want somebody to tell me something that's going to get me through the struggle right then and there, that instant gratification. And I know that that's not realistic, right? I know in real life that that's not something that's realistic. It's not something that I should be looking at and really thinking, okay, these words that they finna tell me is finna get me out of this struggle. No, now what I hope is their words put certain things into perspective for me to where now I can put my mind in a place where even though I still have to struggle, my mind can at least be at ease in knowing, hey, it's going to get better. It's going to be all right. These are things that I can do, whatever it may be, while I'm going through this struggle to ease the burden or ease the frustration of going through the struggle. So it's all about changing your perspective and changing your expectations. So no, I don't expect my struggle to stop right then and there. I do hope that I can put myself mentally in a space where I'm not burdening myself as much mentally. I'm taking some of the burden away from myself mentally and emotionally as I go through this struggle. Those are the things that I try to tell myself now those are the ways that my perspective has changed somewhat, as I've started to go on this journey of, you know, self-reflection, healing, dealing with my trauma, and just trying to be a better version of myself, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and also physically, being in the gym, which also helps me, gives me a place to kind of be to myself and work out some things in my head. Also, just to take my frustration out on the weights and things like that. So that's become crazy enough a place of peace, or a place of just calmness for me, which that wasn't the case in the beginning. Like, it was a place that I was scared of. I hated the gym because I knew that I was going to have to exercise. I knew I was going to have to work, sweat, and my body wasn't used to it. So I always left there. Those first couple of months, I left in so much pain, so much more pain than what I went in with. So it was not a place of anything, but all I had was negative thoughts about the gym. But in trusting the process, now it's a place that I go to 5 times a week with, I won't say with no problems, because with new exercises come new challenges, and, my body has to adapt. But I trust that in the next week or two of doing it, I'll get there, you know what I'm saying? And I'll get to where I need to be. But that's that's me in real life, trusting the process and realizing that, yeah, it's painful. Yes, just that 30 minutes. I remember when I struggled doing 15 minutes on the treadmill on like a 3 incline. 3 incline, 15 minutes. I struggled. I was ready to get off. Now I'm doing 40 minutes at like anywhere from 9, 8, 9, 10 incline. And so again, I had to trust the process. And now it's just me even realizing in this moment that that was a trust the process moment, because when I tell you I had no fun, I was not excited about the gym at all. You know what I'm saying? But I stayed with it because I knew that my health, because I talked about it before, I lost a good opportunity, a good job, because of my blood pressure. And I knew that my blood pressure was directly tied into my health and my weight. So even though going to the gym, I hated it, it frustrated me, it made me miserable, but I also knew I gotta get my health right. And so now I'm down 30 pounds since May. So down 30 pounds since May, and blood pressure's pretty good. Been checking it, been going to the doctors, and it's good. It's a little elevated when I go to the doctor, because it's just something about being back in going to a doctor that just puts me, as soon as they started to put the strap, the blood pressure cuff around my arm, it just puts me in a space, man. Honestly, it puts me in that space where it takes me back to when I lost the opportunity. You know what I'm saying? And so that's something that I'm working on. It's something that I'm getting better at. My last doctor's visit, my blood pressure didn't jump as high as it has before. So that's good. It's getting better. I'm trusting the process. I know that with the exercise, with me eating better, with me changing and doing real lifestyle changes, not just the quick diet, but actually changing my lifestyle, one day at a time, one food group at a time, I'm going to get to where I need to be. But I had to trust that process. I had to go through what I went through. I had to go through those hard times in the gym, because I understand you never know when another opportunity or a better opportunity may come, and I won't be able to get it because of my health. I don't want me not taking care of myself to be the reason why I don't get it. I would much rather somebody tell me that they had more qualified people. I would much rather just bomb in every interview. I would much rather it be that than for me to do well in the interview, to get the job, to go through that process, and just for me not to be able to get it because I didn't also do my part when it comes to taking care of my health. and I knew that I had blood pressure issues. It's just as long as I didn't feel bad, I wasn't worried about it. So that's where I have to take accountability, and I did. And that's what pushes me, is because I know that that was something that's on me. Excuse me. At the end of the day, me not getting that job is on me, because I knew I had blood pressure issues. I knew I had weight issues, and I didn't do what I needed to do to take care of those things. And so sometimes it takes you missing out on huge opportunities to get you serious about your life. And it probably shouldn't. It probably shouldn't take that, but we're human. You know what I'm saying? It took that. But now that it's happened, I don't plan on going backwards. I don't plan on going back to a life where I'm not in the gym, or, I'm not eating better. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to act like I'm where I need to be as far as eating wise, but I know for a fact that I'm eating better than I was. So I don't plan on going backwards. I don't plan on going back to that. But I say all that to say that's where trust in the process, because again, every single day that I got up to go to the gym, I was miserable. I know that there was one time, because I can't stand leg days. There was a time during leg day when I had a leg day in the morning. I literally couldn't sleep. I think I got maybe 2 hours of sleep that night before. That's how miserable I was. That's how frustrated, annoyed, scared. I'll even use that because I was scared of leg day. I hated leg day with a passion, to the point where I didn't sleep. I'm stressing myself. I could not sleep. I couldn't get my body to relax for nothing in the world. I think I may have gotten 2 hours of sleep. And I went in there, and it was bad. You know what I'm saying? It was bad. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, but it was still bad. It was still a struggle. It was still frustration. But I say all that to say I made it through. Now I can do that same leg workout with little struggle. I won't say no struggle, but with little struggle. You know what I'm saying? But I can get through the workout. I can get through it. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't stress me like when I have to go and do my legs, because I do legs twice a week. But it was something that I had to get through. It was something that I had to overcome. You know what I'm saying? And no matter how scared I was, or how afraid, or how stressed out I was, I went and I did it. I got up every single morning I was supposed to. I haven't missed a workout session since I started. You know what I'm saying? And I say that to say that's trusting the process, even in the hard times. I'm trusting that I'm doing this for a reason, and that at some point I'm going, even though in that moment I won't see the outcome that I'm looking for. I'm trusting that the outcome is coming. So even now, while I'm still in the gym, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm trusting that in another 6 months, I'll be able to get back on this podcast and be like, I remember when I talked about this 6 months ago, but this is on me staying with it, me trusting the process. And now I'm seeing even more of the results. So I'm seeing now the results of me putting in the work and not giving up, like what that was 4 or 5 months ago. I'm seeing the results of it now. Like I said, down 30 plus pounds, blood pressure is in a good range, things like that. And hopefully in another 4, 5, 6 months, I'll be able to say, hey, I down another 30 pounds and all of this stuff. And maybe at some point I will be able to get off the medication and be able to just regulate my blood pressure naturally. That's the goal. And all of this that I'm doing now is the process to get there. And I'm trusting that I'm going to get there. I'm also knowing that there's going to be tough times to get there. And so I think that, like I said, we have to understand that tough times, hard times are a part of all the process, a part of every single process in our life. Every single thing that we do is going to come with hard times. And I also know that in those hard times is when you have to trust the process the most, when you have to be able to lock in and trust in God, trust in yourself, trust in what you're doing, whatever that is, whether that's a job or a career, going to get a degree, whatever. Trust in those things, trust in God, trust in yourself. Believe that it's worth it. Understand that it's going to be worth it. Understand that it's going to be hard. It is not going to be easy. There's going to be rocky times. There's going to be distractions. There's going to be things trying to turn you this way, that way, get you to stop, get you to turn around and go backwards. But stay the course no matter how difficult it is. Trust that process, trust, have faith in that process and trust that process. And again, I know that it's not going to be easy. I'm not saying that lightly. I'm saying that with the understanding of how hard it is to trust that process when you need to trust that process the most, which is during those hard times. I do understand that absolutely. But I'm also saying that it's worth it to stay on course, to get through those storms, to get through those rocky roads, to get through those rough waves, to get to where you want to be. You're going to have to go through a storm or two to see the goal line, to finish, to see the goal line, to see the finish line. You're going to have to go through those tough times. Might as well trust the process through that. And again, I know it won't be easy, but I also know that it'll be worth it. But that's it for today's episode. I want to thank y'all for watching. Well, I want to thank y'all for listening on whatever platforms y'all are listening on, wherever y'all are listening to the podcast from. I want to thank y'all for taking the time to listen to the podcast. I appreciate that more than y'all will ever know. And to everybody watching on YouTube, please continue to like, share, comment, and subscribe. I appreciate y'all as well. I want to thank y'all as well. And until the next time we meet, man, y'all already know, stay blessed.